Hello everyone, how you doing today? Thought I would show you a couple things here and then continue working on a little project I was working on. To start with though, there are three ships here by Revenant. Two of them are conversions and one is a brand new creation. I do believe I've showed this one before. This is the LR MCRN MX5E-T2. This is the Merc MX5E converted over to MCRN with the coloring and the looks and everything like that. Very well done by Revenant here. So it's got all the same functionality as the new updated MX5E. It's just reconfigured to like a MCRN look. So it has the same upgrade path, and you can put in all kinds of parts and even a shield and stuff like that. More guns, tier blocks, all kinds of stuff in there. Now he just recently did that as well with the Merc MX-11. This is the MCRN MX-11. This is also in the MCRN collection on the workshop. Same idea here. This was converted from the MX-11 into a MCRN color scheme, and you can get a look at how the interior looks now and everything like that. Looks very nice. Everything was done as pretty much exactly how I would have done it, I think, or very, very close, put it that way. So very nice work there. Definitely dig it. So this is also up on the workshop. And then he made a brand new MCRN creation. This is the MCRN Explorer. And this is a kind of a utility HV, tier 2. Pretty inexpensive, good for storage, for some harvesting. It's got a couple turrets on it, a couple Gatling guns, and an interior. Also done up, looking just like the rest of the MCRN stuff. Also has a lot of function in the interior. So you got 14K storage, a constructor, med bay, fridge, O2 station. 1.5K ammo. You have a drone hatch above here. Oh, I had that up already. And 1.5K ore and wood storage, plus a couple extra cargo boxes, easy access to fuel, Wi-Fi. Gotta assume it's, make sure it's got a detector. Yep, detector and harvester. So taking a look at the costs and specs on this, this is a tier 2 creation, 51 minute, 17-second build time. Uses, probably due to the tier 2 block, uses some titanium rods, so very small amount of neodymium and a couple cobalt. This is up on the workshop as well, and it's in the MCRN collection. I'm gonna double check that. I think I put it in the MCRN collection, but if I didn't, I will fix that right after this video. So I did get the Skaar. I went with a name that was in my list of names by users for the name on this one, and Dominator was in that list, so I decided to call it that. And this one was also kind of a little bit stripped down version we brought into the live stream Monday. I'm sorry, that was Sunday. So that is kind of usable in the game now. Realize that the mining drills don't cost a lot of CPU, so that's pretty inexpensive. The turrets and other weapons do use a lot of CPU, and of course the shield that's in this one too. And a lot of those things were gutted in our current playthrough of the game on that live stream. So it could be a tier 3 creation and not a tier 4. That it's kind of meant to be a tier 4. So that's up on the workshop. This one was also used in the live stream. This is just a little tier 1 cheap SV. Doesn't do anything particularly special, but it's got some storage, some Gatling guns. It's quite fuel efficient, detector, Wi-Fi, things like that, fridge, O2, extra cargo box. This one had 7,000 Ammo storage. I still gotta fix that. I'm gonna fix it right now before I forget. Why can't I fix that? Cargo. No. Okay, right there. I mislabeled this originally. So 7K, not 6. Okay, and it has 500 ammo storage on it. This one may be the next Skaar release I do. I'm not sure yet. It depends. So it depends how much work I get done on the other ones, and I also want to get the Skaar base out too. Taking a look at this one, 28-minute and 30-second build time, no rares at all. So pretty cheap and expensive little SV, kind of an SV equivalent of what this is, sort of. So moving on, I've been working on a little project here, and where did I put it? There it is. One of my oldest creations I made now, the Scarab-HST. I thought I would get around to updating this. It's been, I think, close to 3 years since this was released to the workshop, the original one. This wasn't much. It was kind of a starter HV. Now, I've already done a lot of work to this version here, and what I did is I redid the storage, I gutted the entire interior, removed all the RCS, I changed the thrusters around a little bit, added by stock a turret on here. I'm not sure if that's going to stay or not though. Let me take a look at where I'm at here real quick. So we're at tier 1 CPU range, but it's right up to the limit. This is made of steel. The cargo extensions I managed to mostly keep under steel blocks. So the only exposed cargo extensions are right along this strip here. These two in front of the thrusters on both sides. And I kind of redid the back end of this. Now, one thing I did have to cut, though, was the constructor the original one had. That just is too much CPU for a tier 1 creation. So I got in 6230 storage on this one. Kind of an uneven number. I normally like to keep that a little more even, but I did use a couple shaped cargo extensions on this one. And then it just has a traditional ammo box with a 100 ammo storage, which gives you enough room for 1,000 15mm bullets, which both the turret and the Gatling guns use the same ammo. I am now realizing though that I'm lacking a fridge on this, and it does not have any harvest storage, but it also has no harvester. So I'm now debating on what I should do with this. I can't get all that stuff on there and have it a tier 1 creation for sure. Just want to do a little reference here. Let me dump something out and take a look at how much CPU these take. Not much. Kind of would like to get a harvester on here. Add some better early game function, I think. So I'm going to try that, but I might have to shave some CPU elsewhere in doing this. It'll be a little bit different than the original configuration of this, but a harvester is just, I think, something that would be useful early game. Well, actually, let me take a look at one other thing. What is the current unlock on this? Okay, so unlocks at level 5. And the harvester unlocks at level 3. Okay, so I can put on a harvester and no problems. It's not going to up the unlock level of this creation. Now, if I put on a harvester, I'm going to get rid of a couple blocks. I'm going to try to set this back a little bit. And something else I realized it doesn't have on it currently is a spotlight. Would be kind of useful as well. So we can fit a harvester. That's going to put me over on CPU, I bet, for the time being. Yeah, by 165. And it's also going to need a fridge. So let me grab a fridge. So basically, after this video, what I plan on doing is updating the existing blueprint on this one. So it'll be hopefully up and out by about the time this video is uploaded to YouTube. Just trying to figure out. I'm going to have to reduce the cargo storage a little bit, though. I think. I am kind of wasting some room on the center of this thing, too. But I'm trying to keep everything kind of concealed, I guess, behind these doors. But I'm trying to give the player access to it as well. Like you can see the Wi-Fi and the detector that have been added in here. I'm just going to fix up a little bit of the background textures behind that. Oh, all that. I shouldn't have rigged that sensor yet. That's just driving me nuts. Open and closing and open and closing. Now you can kind of see the interior. What I did here is I managed to get by with one small fuel tank on this one. I'm sorry, one small generator. So just a little dinky guy, and I tested that out. It only gets to about 35%, I think, max energy usage with the small one. I put the cores in the same exact spot it was originally, but I surrounded it now or encased this entire area with cargo extensions, which have 100 hit points apiece. It's actually a little stronger than it would have been originally, as it had a whole lot of air tanks and RCS in this area. Now I've took it down to 2 O2 tanks and removed all the RCS as well. Now one unknown I have on this is the balancing with the weight load. Now I did make the I hate being in God mode around sensors. It just the doors just keep triggering, and I really should try to learn to just rig that absolutely as the last thing, so I don't have to keep on enduring them opening and closing with that, well, quite frankly, terrible sound they make. Especially if there's more than one door at a time. And my texturing's a little wonky on the bottom. Now I did kind of update the texturing a little bit on this already. Added in a couple little more decals and a couple variations in textures. But let's see, we're gonna have to cut the CPU a little bit more somehow on this. And I have a storage controller, and I think that's gonna need to be a harvest controller. So let me do that too. Oh, the sensors. I gotta be quick about this so I don't have to hear the noise. That is something I'm really waiting on to be changed, is the sounds on... My God. And why does it do this? I haven't moved. I'm in the sensor location. Why does it have to just keep on re-triggering the sensors randomly all the time? I never have understood that. Something to do with God mode only. It doesn't happen if I'm out of God mode. Alright, so we have a harvest controller. Probably, I guess it's really meant to chop a lot of wood. But the thing with the harvest controller is you can put a lot of you can put anything in a harvest controller. So it is essentially storage as well. It's just that wood and ore would automatically go to it, and is required. All those doors. You know what? I'm so doors. I'll put them back in and put them on a sensor later. My God. Okay, so we have a detector, we have Wi-Fi, we have O2, we have an armor locker, we have these new doors here. I did have to cut the constructor, as I said, as they're way too much CPU for a constructor, or add a tier 1 class. Doesn't necessarily even need the doors. I was just trying to make the back end more concealed and a little better that way. And then we have a harvester. We need a spotlight. I would like to have a spotlight. So I could put one there. Let me grab a spotlight a second. Just figure this would be kind of a fun little project. Not too involved really, since it's such a small creation. Fix up a couple more textures on the side here. And I also converted this over to the standard color palette used by the rest of the military survival series stuff, or most of them, I will say. Okay, so if we had a spotlight, we're going to need a switch for that, or not a switch in this case. What I'm going to do is go to the P menu, and we're going to just say spotlight, if I can spell, spotlight, and then I'll go over to the spotlight and assign it to that. So you are spotlight. So now we can turn that on. Okay, so a little bit more is needed in shaving some CPU off from this. And I am curious of the location of the front hover engines and balancing. That is another thing I want to check out. So let's see, what do we got here? This is a steel block. These are container extensions. Okay, these are the shaped ones I didn't particularly like to do in the first place. And I'm not sure how many I'm going to have to remove to get this compliant with the 5K CPU. Oops, we're still over. The thrusters on the back. These are, you know, it probably got a little bit more thrusters than it needs. Maybe I can get a little bit of extra CPU there. These are the 1x2s, I think. So what if we cheated? Oh, what the heck did I do? Oh, these are two individual. Whoa, whoa, what did I do? I get it now. I faked it out. I used the small ones and put them right behind the bigger ones because it didn't matter. Wow. Can't believe I did that. Can't believe people didn't complain about that. Alright, well, let's fix this up a lot here. And I need some thrusters, free up some more inventory. Let's see, unlock level 3 on those. I'm just taking a look. Unlock level 5. I'm going to try to go with a couple of these instead. I'm not sure, maybe that won't work out, but we're going to find out. So we had one there and one there. What does that do for CPU? Ah, it works. Look at that. 4972. And I bet you that actually produces just as much power, if not more, than the 8 of the other ones that were there prior. We're close to it. Alright, well that's cool. And in fact, that allows me to put back in some full storage boxes up here. I don't particularly like keeping this whole area back here square. But okay, let's see here. So we whacked some previous storage containers down here. Let's try to get a couple of those back in place. Constant CPU checks on. Okay, so that was too much. Adding those 2 blocks was just too much CPU. And that still is. Probably because I added those 2 in. And that puts us just under 6,000 storage. Well, I need a couple more blocks to add. And we're still over. Alright, so another idea. Let's take a look at the dinky thrusters here. Let's get rid of those ones. Okay, dinky thrusters. Let's try this. Now it originally had 8 of these, but thrusters have changed a lot. So I'm wondering if I put in 4 dinky ones, how will that come out? Keeps it under again until I add some cargo boxes. So that would look the same as it originally did though. If I try to put in a couple full cargo boxes here, or extensions, bet you that, yeah, it screws up the CPU again. Alright, let's, okay, we already removed the ones down there. What does that put for storage? Okay, the storage is above 6,000 now. Alright, well, let's just add the blocks that are going to need to be added anyway. So I'm going to put in standard steel blocks here, which do use some CPU as well. And then we'll try to balance it off by removing something else. It's kind of a give and take constantly. All these starter creations are just a constant like battle of the CPU. You probably realize that too when you build these very low CPU things and you try to squeeze as much function as you can into them. Alright, so this would be technically with all blocks intact, and we're 20 over on CPU. Just for reference, a cargo extension takes 15 CPU. So I gotta cut a cargo extension. Hate doing that because I got a perfect spot for one. But if I cut one, not enough, not enough, not enough. Man, I gotta cut 2 of these. Let me just take a look again. What is our storage? And now we're below 6,000 again. I was really trying to keep it at 6,000. Well, I guess originally, on the original version of this, it did not come with a harvester and it did not come with a turret. It did have 2 additional weapon mount points down over here. And actually, when I was thinking, I was looking at it, it also did not come with a spotlight, so, or Wi-Fi, or a detector. So this does have more stuff on it. But yeah, 6 over. I know that hardly makes any difference at all, but that sucks. I'm just wondering if there's something else somewhere that I can shave an unnecessary block or something on, and keep it looking okay. I'm gonna try something here. This is crazy. I don't know how it's gonna turn out. But I'm gonna try to remove this center block, which might give me enough CPU, and pop in some funky blocks over here. That didn't exist when this was first built. But I'm curious on how those doors are gonna look over that. So what did that do? The one block only was one CPU. That ain't gonna help. Maybe a bad idea. Let's back that off. Okay, so 5,006. 1 CPU is all I got from that. I do like having that stuff blocked off in the center because I can't get the doors to close over them. I don't really like this big square jaggedness going on over here much either, but I don't want to cut the thrust any more than it already is. Now I could technically lose a couple of these strafing thrusters, but man, I don't want to do that for 6 CPU. That's ridiculous. But what else can I do to this thing to you know, without hitting another cargo extension? And I think that might be the only option I've got, is to hit another cargo extension. And that puts a CPU 5.7K. But it puts a CPU in check. All right. Well, I guess that's doable. And I still got to add these louvered doors back in, or these shutter doors back in. So let's do that a minute and put them back on the signal. I was using the 2x2 ones. You could either come in from the sides or the top on this. I did it on the sides because I thought it kind of looked neat, but yeah, let's go that route again. Okay, and you, oh, I don't want to assign it yet. Let's just take a look at the CPU. Okay, so we're good. We got 4 CPU points left. 4 whole CPU points. Almost makes me want to add some deco somewhere. God, is it possible to add any deco for 4 CPU? Well, yeah, let's do a little texturing up here. Let's give you something to look at. In the right color, hopefully. I just use that texture back there. Let's put something else over here. A bit of a color change. Across the back. Spray this up to that color and clean that texture up. One thing I don't like about when I like to give the thrusters some texture, but the problem is you can't control the side textures. Like I would like this to at least be the same direction as this top texture, but I can't do that, and maybe it'll just end up going back to regular metal looking texture there. Yeah, it probably looks better. And what can we put here? Well, I got caution already there, so I could put in some lights, maybe. Guess that kind of works. Alright. And this bottom here is, better get rid of one of these and texture under that. It can be kind of fun redoing some of these older things. This one was just a really tight creation, trying to be a tier 1. So a little bit rougher and a lot of like constantly adding something and checking the CPU and adding something and checking the CPU. So that's why some of these tier 1 creations can take an extra long time. It's not because they're super complicated to build or big or a lot of work. It's just dialing them in with that CPU can take a bit. I'm just trying to make the lines look kind of nice too, if I can. The thing I try to avoid is, well, you probably know that by now, but when I'm dealing with this kind of texture, I really try to avoid jaggy lines that don't line up. And there's certain things like, oh, that actually works. Yeah, it works on both sides. How about that? Yeah, like see this little dinky line over here that just kind of like is there, goes nowhere. I hate that. It drives me nuts. So I tend to try to clean all that stuff up. I didn't used to. I didn't really know that you could, and it would flip them anyway, and it was kind of a nightmare early on. But it works now. And I'm just looking for opportunities to get any kind of mix-up of texture I can. I mean, this thing is such a small craft. The more I can add in to make it look nicer, the better. And since there's not that many blocks to texture, you might as well try to put your all into like trying to get this nice. Now this weird jagged line here, I actually don't mind that one because it just happens to coincide with the shape of that block. So I'll probably leave that one. I tend to get pretty picky about this stuff. Now the coloring back here does not look right either. It's like it's black and gray and it's not really in any formation right now. So I think these could stand to be black. And we'll try to get a little bit of textures there. And that there. And I use this on this block a lot because that the seam lines up with the angle of the block. And that is, and not to mention this just colors nice and typically looks good. But I get kind of a little condemned sometimes by overuse of this, which if you got it in your mind that this is a cabinet texture which I don't see it that way. I see it as metal plates that have a seam on them. So I guess it depends how you interpret the texture. Just do a little bit of cleaning there, I think. And maybe I should go with something different here too. But probably gray. Alright. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick save on that. Well, no, I'm gonna assign these doors here in a minute. So you should open at rear door. There's an embedded sensor inside of here that's controlling that. Okay, so now those work. Let's get a little color on the fridge. Alright, and then what I want to do is I want to hop into the devices here. And I want to auto group everything. Nice and neat. And then I will save it. So Scarab-HST. So we got a 26-minute, 14-second. Well, that's what it was. Let's see what it is now. Oops. 24-minute and 44-second build time. So it's a little bit cheaper than the original one by a touch. So yeah, pretty quick build time. Doesn't need much. Comes with both a harvester and a turret now, and has Wi-Fi and detector. Still has O2. Big thing now is, will this balance okay with if it has a full load of I'll just say 5.7K. I better rename that too, eh? Harvest. Storage, 5.7K. Alright, we'll save it one more time. I'm going to try an experiment. I'm in a creative game right now, but I am curious. There is a command that toggles back and forth between survival and creative, and it's called CM in the console. And I've done this when I was in the survival games before to switch it over to creative so I could do the normal block work that I would do if I wanted to modify something real quick. But I've never done it the other way around. From a creative game and trying to make it a survival game. So I'm going to try it. So it says now we're switched to survival. So I got to assume if it actually does work that we would have weights and volumes on, which is the big thing. So first I want to see how this moves. Does okay. Power looks good. It's got a lot of fuel. Or a lot of operational time. Strafing is okay. And maneuverability is alright. Alright, so let's see if this changes if I fill up the cargo box. This is an experiment. It would be kind of nice to not have to like exit the game and fire up a different session when you want to test this stuff for weights and volumes. So let me give this something to weigh it down here. I'm not sure how many it would take. 63, that's almost double. So 51, let's get a little bit more in there than that. Get one more. 56. Okay, that's a little bit too much then here. Okay, so we're pretty close to capacity. What about one block? Closer, 2 blocks too much, alright. Anything really lightweight that I could pop in there? How about some ammo? Just a bit over. Just a bit on. Oh, that's still a couple over, isn't it? Close, close. Ah. How did that not change the weight? That's so weird. Probably getting a little too crazy with this. Okay, there we go. Exact weight. Does it fly any different? I can't tell. Should have looked at the max speed I was getting before. So we're getting max speed right now at 46. It looks, well, max speed is 46, so we're averaging around 44 to 45. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, just to see if this is actually working like it should, or you'd think it would, I'm gonna okay, we'll leave that was already full. I'm gonna pull out all the storage here. Let me just keep this, so trash some more stuff here. We had that, and 352 of those in there. What's our max speed? The same. Well, gosh darn it, I don't think it works. I just don't think it works. Because, yeah, pulling that out seemed to make no difference in how this operates, even though I'm technically in the survival mode right now. So, but I think that was a failed attempt there. I wanted to find out, though, if I could do that. It would be a little bit of a time saver, I suppose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this in survival to see how it does with the balance of weight. Worst case scenario is I alter the hover engine locations a little bit to if it's imbalanced, and then I will update it on the workshop. Now, something else I got over here is I got some recent comments, and it kind of made me remember the original Cerberus PSV, which is a very, very old creation now. Actually, it was put out right around the same time as that Scarab-HST. I spawned this in. Obviously, this doesn't work right now, CPU-wise and all functionality. I mean, this is going back to Alpha 6, I'm pretty sure. So I was looking at it, and I was looking even at my block work here and my texturing and everything, and I'm quite frankly fairly appalled. I've learned a lot of things since I built this ship, for sure, and not to mention the game's got a lot of new stuff in it. And look at that, I even missed a texture over here. My goodness. So I was thinking about trying to do a refit on this one, and kind of like it was done to the Persis carrier, with the objectives of first modernizing all the functionality of this thing to current 1.0, the current version of the game, with anything I can add into it that you would want in a ship like this, and update the visuals, but keep it tried and true to the original ship. So I didn't want to do what I did like on the Cerberus NG, which was kind of a complete rebuild, and I made the ship literally twice as big as the original one by doing some chopping of it. And well, basically I made so many changes on the PSV on the NG version that it was a size class 10 versus this one is a size class 5. And that my biggest thing I'm worried about on this one is it is size class 5, but I'm at 4.82, so I've got a little bit of wiggle room, but just by using fancier blocks and other things alone, I can almost up the size class of it, even if it didn't have like more parts and stuff like that. At CPU, I'm not concerned about at all. It's a mess right now if you look at the CPU on this thing. It's yeah, but that's because, I mean, it's got RCS on it. Nothing's trying to be CPU compliant. I know the thing has 8 advanced constructors on it currently. Just taking a look at the interior of where it sat. This ship did not have hangar side crafting. The crafting room was actually positioned up on the 3rd floor over here and was kind of on your way to the bridge. And it also had a kind of an unusual farm section here. Now, one thing I don't like to do, obviously I did it here, is I do not like to use these 45-degree steps, especially in something that moves, because quite often what will happen is you're not parked perfectly level, and then all of a sudden you can't walk up the steps and you have to like jetpack up them or something, and I don't like that. So that would be something I would want to change. Probably cut a couple constructors out of this thing too, and yeah, 4 fridges, that's probably a little extreme. Bunch of cargo boxes. This thing has no storage controller systems in it though. That would be something else that needs to change. So this might be kind of a fun project, kind of. I feel bad, you know, a while back in the video I started in on someone else's kind of classic, very popular creation, and I was kind of reworking it with the new stuff, and you know, I kind of stopped myself from finishing that because I really didn't want to do that with someone else's creation. I don't feel bad at all screwing up, you know, doing my own creations, but you know, I don't want any, like, if, you know, yeah, I just try to avoid it on like messing with other people's work, even though, you know, it was dated, and you know, when like some of those other ships were built, it was a long time ago, kind of like this one where you didn't have option to all the new stuff that you got in the game now. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Anyway, so I'll probably be back, I'm thinking Thursday, and I'm going to try to do like a little thing on revamping this Cerberus to a new version, and probably just update the existing blueprint on this one. I don't really want another like new item in the workshop to be released. Not on this ship. I'd rather just make it nice and update it. Not to mention I got a lot of Skaar stuff to release, and I try to not release more than one thing a week. So yeah, yeah, I think that this will be a fun project. Can do some block work and redo everything, and probably hopefully show you guys everything that I'm kind of thinking about when doing this. Like, I'm just looking at some of these transitions I've got here, and I'm just like, that's just terrible. I mean, what was I thinking? Like, here, I gotta just do this a second now. Like, why didn't I do this? Oh, I see why I didn't do that, because that didn't line up to that. Oh, okay, so there's always reasons, I suppose. But now there's a whole new angle set here. So it's like, this could be totally different if it went to this set of 22.5 degree wedges, which could be kind of neat too. Well, I'm not gonna like do much with this. I'm just gonna see how this can be fun. If you don't destroy blocks, you just put in place. See, it could be that angle. Could transition from that angle to another angle. In fact, this is all like boring down here too. So actually, if it was that angle below, gotta find out. This is what happens to me. I get so sidetracked on these things. It's ridiculous. So let's see what we want. We want that there. And that there. Just curious what this is going to look like. So say we did that there, and then we took out this top row, and here we switched it up to a different angle. Again, like this. that's kind of funky what I got going on there too. Yeah, and now the angle matches. I'll probably redo this beam here too, but yeah, we could add in some double angles like that pretty easily, and really try to get rid of the boxy look that a lot of parts of the ship have. This big squareness in so many places, I think, can be drastically enhanced. And then also when it's recolorized and retextured, it would also enhance the looks of it. So I think this could look a lot better and be relatively the same ship. Like inside and out layout and everything else. It's just so many new options. Something else I bet you I did on this ship too is I bet you all the interior blocks, yeah, see, like all the interior blocks I've got in here are also combat steel, which can suck a lot of CPU and I think add to the size class as well. So a lot of that could be replaced with even like substrate or something on the interior, as long as I keep the exterior hull and critical components of the ship within combat steel. Yeah, this will be a fun one. Of course, this one was kind of like the a second attempt at a legged ship, and the first one was the Manticore EX1, which is probably even cruder than this ship, I bet. Let me pull that one in real quick. That's another ship I'm thinking about trying to redo at some point in time here. Do I have the Manticore? Yeah, Manticore. Oh, there it is. I'm just blind. Yeah, this was the first legged ship. Basically, I had this wild idea when I was actually playing the game back in Alpha 5, I think, and I wanted to build, I had this weird idea of building a ship with legs, and I think it was shortly after I watched the original first season of Stranger Things, of all things, and they had that big, like, legged looking alien creature thing, and I was like, that would look cool on a ship. So that's kind of where this came from, but I literally had hardly any block knowledge at the time. It took me forever and a day to make these legs. But it was kind of unique, I think, when it was released. Some people said it was so ugly it looks nice. And I kind of agree. It's an ugly ship, sort of, but it's just unique. You don't see too many ships with big legs like this on them. So the Cerberus was a second attempt at building a leg ship, and I made I learned a lot of lessons on this one, where I think I dialed in the overall shape of the body better on this one. And that's kind of how it came to be. But then after that, I was like, man, I don't want to just be known to this crazy maker that only makes leg ships. So then I kind of diversified from legged ideas and sort of got away from that, mostly on newer creations. In fact, I haven't built really anything with legs short of the Creel Beholder since then. But that was some big legs there, and that was again going back to that concept, and it would have worked for what I was trying to attempt to do, and that is to build a POI siege machine that can park over the POI and blast it from above. All right, well, anyway, that's everything I've got for today. Next video will be on the Cerberus, continuing this thing and trying to redo the body and the texturing and the interior components and everything to modernize the ship and try to get it up to the level of the Persis CV2 or any of the modern or the new ships that I'm doing. Now, one last thought I had, and if you guys are still watching the video, how would you feel if this was scarred? In other words, what if I took this original Cerberus, did all its work, body work, and made it all right again, and then made it a Skaar ship textured in Skaar fashion, like what this stuff over here is. Would that be cool, or would you rather have it in the more traditional color scheme that it came in, or gray, or even the modernized one, which deals with more shades of gray and kind of more whites and things like that, like I did with the Cerberus NG. Just curious on your thoughts on that one. I've always thought about taking an older creation that needed some work anyway, and like turning it into a Skaar thing. Like it was smashed, it was salvaged, and they captured it and made it work again, and now it's Skaar. Because there are advantages to the Skaar texturing, I think, because I just looking at the detail levels that you get because of the more crude textures, especially at a distance. Now, I'm not terribly happy about seeing lines misaligned all over the place, which is unavoidable with this texture, but it certainly looks more detailed, comparatively speaking, especially at a little bit of a distance. Like I was like putting this up next to like the Asteria Destroyer, and this thing just looks like night and day difference, more detailed and less like it's, I don't know, a voxel ship. So that's kind of why I've been gravitating on the Skaar in the first so much anyways. I just think they come out looking more detailed, and maybe not on the interior though. I still miss the clean, nice interiors on some of the newer creations. But I do like the exteriors, I think, better. Just because of the overall detail factor, and the colors and stuff kind of does make it really look quite metally and kind of crude, and I like that. Anyway, I'm going to shut up, and if you got an opinion on if the Cerberus, the new version, should be a Skaar version, let me know, or if you'd rather just see it kind of stay similar to the original color that it was, both basically a gray. I'd probably add in a few more tones of gray, like I did with the Persis CV2, but they're very subtle, and you won't really see a major difference in that. All right. Anyway, see you later, all.